Am I audible to you? Just confirm me, am I audible and the PPT is visible? Just make sure that everything is perfect. Am I audible to you? Okay, good. Let's start our today's class. In today's class, we are going to discuss about the cardiovascular system. Okay, in your syllabus, there has been, they have given that a cardiovascular system, and they're also having a minor topics also. Yeah, good evening. And see, neurogenic and myogenic hearts, cardiac cycle and heart, neural and chemical regulation of all the above. So these are all the things which has been present under the cardiovascular system. So our first topic for today is difference between what is myogenic heart and what is a neurogenic heart. Okay, see, what is myogenic heart? Here, the heart that generate the heartbeat through the inherent contractile activity of cardiac muscles, that is myocytes. Here, the pumping action that will be entirely under the control of the muscle cell, which is called as the myocyte. And here, in case of neurogenic hearts, here that will be under the control of the nervous system stimuli. Okay, and that stimuli will be originating from the nerve center. So if the contractile activity, if it is done by the cardiac muscles called the myocytes, then it will be called as the myogenic hearts. If it is under the control of a nerve stimuli, then it will be calling as the neurogenic hearts. And where this myogenic hearts will be present means it is present in the humans and other mammals. But in the neurogenic hearts, that will be present in invertebrates, particularly the arthropods. Okay, and we know crustaceans and insects will be placed under they are the class under the phylum arthropods. Here we can see the neurogenic hearts. And what is mean by pacemaker? Pacemaker means here in myogenic heart, the sino-arterial node will be calling as the pacemaker. Why? Because this is the area where the impulse is getting initiated. Okay, in case of myogenic hearts. And here the nerve cells will be act as a pacemaker, and where the heartbeat is getting initiated, that will be initiated in the sino-arterial node in case of myogenic heart. And these electrical impulses will be generated autonomously, that is not under the control of any of the system. Okay, and here that will be the impulse will be coming from the central nervous system. And what will be the control mechanism? Here it will be controlled by the cardiac muscle cells. Okay, and with the modulation by the autonomic nervous system. And here it will be directly controlled by the nervous system. And here it is autonomous in generating heartbeats. Okay, which means what? The heartbeat, the pumping action, the contraction and relaxation is not it is not under the control of any of the system. Okay, it is independent of the nervous system. But here the impulse, the heartbeat will be coming under the control of a neural input that will be completely dependent on the nervous system. Okay, and the response to the nervous system. In case of a myogenic heart, it will be modulated by the autonomous nervous system, and this system will affect the heart rate and force of contraction. And in neurogenic hearts, the response to the nervous system is the heartbeat will stop if the neural input will be interrupted. If it is getting any damage, entirely the heartbeat will tend to stop. Now, here the myogenic heart will be seen in mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and some of the fish variety. And particularly, this neurogenic hearts will be seen in the arthropods. And what will be the advantages of myogenic heart and the neurogenic heart? In case of myogenic heart, that will be independence of the neural control. Okay, and this will be continue beating if neural connections are severed. If neural connections are getting damaged, even though there will be a problem in the nervous system, it will continue beating. Okay, that is what an advantage of myogenic heart. In case of nervous system, it will be a precise control of the nervous system. As it is a nervous system, that definitely the stimulus will be an electrical stimulus that will be quickly adapt to the changes in the environmental conditions. And what will be the disadvantages of both the hearts? In myogenic heart, it will be less immediate responsive. It is not giving an immediate response to the nervous system. But in case of the neurogenic heart, it will be giving an immediate response. Okay. Now, which type of heart generates, now coming to the question, which type of heart generates its own heartbeat through the inherent activity of cardiac muscle cells? See, that will be the inherent activity of the cardiac muscle cells, mean that will be obviously the myogenic heart. Okay. And in which type of organisms would you find the neurogenic heart? Mammals, birds, arthropods, amphibians. That will be arthropods. What serves as a pacemaker in myogenic heart? That will be the SA node. Which of the following statement is true about neurogenic heart? They can function independently of neural input. They are found in mammals and birds. They depend on nerve impulse from the central nervous system to initiate and maintain the heartbeat. They are modulated by the autonomic nervous system. And the statement they are asking is, which is the true statement regarding the neurogenic heart? In case of neurogenic heart, that will be depend on the neural input. So the first statement will be false. And this neurogenic heart will be present in the arthropods, not in the mammals and birds. In mammals and birds, we can find the myogenic heart. And here, they depend on the nerve impulse from the central nervous system to initiate and maintain the heartbeat. And this will be the correct answer. And here, the neurogenic heart, they can't be modulated by the autonomous nervous system, but instead of that we can say that will be modulated to the myogenic heart. What happens to a myogenic heart if a neural connections are severed? What happens to the myogenic heart if the neural connections are severed? It stops beating immediately. It continues to beat autonomously. It requires external electrical stimulation to beat, and it beats irregularly and unpredictably. It will beat autonomously. Okay. No. Which system modulates the heart rate in myogenic hearts? See, we are discussing the concept first. Only after discussing, we are solving the question. So everybody should answer. Okay. What are all the things I have explained you? The same thing will be repeating in the questions also. So don't hesitate to answer, right? Okay, which system modulates the heart rate in myogenic heart means? That will be obviously the autonomous nervous system. Okay. And which type of heart is more vulnerable to nerve damage? If a nerve is getting damaged, whether the myogenic heart is more vulnerable or neurogenic heart is more vulnerable? Which is directly connected with the directly dependent on the nervous system, that will be the neurogenic heart. Okay, I hope everybody will clear with the concept. Now, what is the primary advantage of myogenic heart over a neurogenic heart? Greater immediate responsiveness to the environmental changes, precise control by the nervous system, independence from the neural control for basic function, faster adaptation to stress. Advantage of myogenic heart. So greater immediate response, precise control, faster adaptation to stress. These are all the advantages of the neurogenic heart. So the advantage of myogenic heart will be, it will be independent to the neural control. Which type of heart do nerve cells or a cluster of neurons acts as a pacemaker? In which heart nerve cells acts as a pacemaker, whether in myogenic heart or neurogenic heart? That will be the neurogenic heart. In the myogenic heart, we can say SA node will be acting as the pacemaker. And which of the following characteristics of myogenic heart, but not the neurogenic heart? It is, see, they are asking the characteristic features of myogenic heart. And it is found in the arthropods, dependent on the CNS for heartbeat initiation, sinoatrial node as a pacemaker, and stops beating if the nerve input is interrupted. See, which heart is found in the arthropods? That will be the neurogenic heart. So this is not be the answer, and it is depend on the CNS for the heartbeat initiation. Once again, this will be the characteristics of neurogenic heart, and it stops beating if neural input is interrupted. And that will be again the characteristic features of neurogenic heart. And in myogenic heart, who is acting as a pacemaker? Sinoatrial node will be acting as a pacemaker. Now, that's all about the concept of neurogenic heart and myogenic heart. So that will be the basic understanding. Okay. Now, coming back to the cardiac cycle, the most important topic under the cardiovascular system. So you should know what are all the phases we can see under the cardiac cycle. There are 5 different phases: atrial systole, isovolumetric contraction, ventricular ejection, isovolumetric relaxation, ventricular filling. Okay, these are all the 5 stages, 5 phases in the cardiac cycle. Now, in the atrial systole, see, always you should know that systole is always related to the contraction. Okay, atrial contraction. Okay, see, systole means contraction. Now, what I have mentioned here, what is the first phase of cardiac cycle? That will be the atrial systole. So, what will be the atrial activity then? So, the atria will be contraction. Okay, it will be contracted. Now, what is happening exactly in the atrial systole means here the atrium will be contracting, and if it is contract, it pushes the blood towards the ventricles. Okay, this is what happened in the atrial systole. And once again, here it will be a systole, so the atrium will be getting contracted. Okay, and then what will be the activity of ventricles? If the atrium will be contracted, obviously the ventricle getting relaxed. Okay, now what is the valve involved in this particular phase? That is atrial systole. Here, AV valves are getting opened, semilunar valves are getting closed. Atrioventricular valves are opened and semilunar valves are getting closed. And here, how the blood flow will be happen in the first phase of the cardiac cycle? Here, the blood will move from the atrium to the ventricle because atrium is getting contracted. So the blood which is present inside the atrium will move to the ventricles, as this ventricles is in the relaxation phase. So the second phase will be the isovolumetric contraction. In isovolumetric contraction, what is the event is happening means the ventricles is getting contracted. And now what is the stage of this atrium? It is getting relaxed. Okay, and what is the ventricular activity? That is, it is a beginning of contraction. Here, what is the valve involved in this particular isovolumetric contraction means no valves is getting involved because all the valves are getting closed here. Here, there will be no blood flow. And what is happening exactly in the isovolumetric contraction means the pressure is building in the ventricles, which means what? The pressure is high in the ventricles as it is getting contraction. Now, third phase will be the ventricular ejection. Okay, ventricular ejection. Now, see here, the ventricular pressure, see in isovolumetric contraction, the pressure is getting built up in the ventricles. In the ventricular ejection, as the ventricular pressure is high and the atrial pressure will be low. Okay, as the atrial pressure is getting low, what will be the activity of atrium then? It is getting relaxed and the ventricles will be under the full contraction. Okay, and now what is the valve involved in here means here the semilunar valve is getting open and the AV valve is getting closed. Now how the blood will flow? Now as it is an ejection, the blood will be ejected into the aorta and the pulmonary artery. See, through the aorta, the blood will reach all the cells within the body, and if with the help of this pulmonary artery, the blood will reach to the lungs. Okay, this is what happening in the ventricular ejection. Now, what is isovolumetric relaxation? See, you should know the order of the phase also, and what is the important events happening in each phase also. See, we have studied first thing as a atrial systole, and second phase will be the isovolumetric contraction, and third phase will be the ventricular ejection. Fourth phase will be the isovolumetric relaxation. Here, as it is an isovolumetric relaxation, now the ventricle is getting relaxed. What are all the events we have seen in the isovolumetric contraction? It is just antagonistic to isovolumetric relaxation. Okay. In isovolumetric contraction, the ventricle is getting contract and the pressure is getting higher. And in relaxation, the ventricles will be getting relaxed and the pressure is getting reduced. And what is the status of atrium? It is also getting relaxed. And what is the status of ventricles? It is also getting relaxed. Okay, and what are all the walls involved in the isovolumetric relaxation? All walls are getting closed. As a result, no blood will flow, and as a result, the ventricles, the pressure in the ventricles will be getting down. And the last final phase will be the ventricular filling. Ventricular filling means it will fill passively with blood. It is not the blood is not filling actively. It is filled passively. And here the status of atrium will be relaxed. Also the ventricles is also getting relaxed. Here the AV walls are open and the semilunar walls are getting closed. Okay, and the blood flows from atrium to the ventricles, from the right atrium and left atrium to the right ventricle and the left ventricle. Okay, so the blood flow from the atrium to the ventricle. So these are all the 5 phases under the cardiac cycle. And if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Okay, don't hesitate to ask any doubts. So the most important slide regarding the cardiac cycle. See, in a normal healthy person, the heartbeat will be 72 beats per minute. Okay, for 1 minute, the heart will beat for 72 times. Okay, so the duration of one cardiac cycle will be how it can be calculated. The once a cardiac cycle will be calculated as 1 by 72 beats per minute. Okay, and if we divide 1 by 72, we can get 0.0139 minutes per beat. Okay, so at a heartbeat, the 72 beats per minute, the duration of each cardiac cycle will be 0.8 seconds. So this is an important statement you have to keep in mind. Okay, now we have a different stages, right? We have a 4 systole, atrial systole and diastole. Always the word systole is refers to the contraction and diastole refers to the relaxation. If it is an arterial systole or atrial systole, here the atrium is getting contracted. If in case it will be a ventricular systole, the ventricles are getting contracted. If it is an atrial diastole, the atrium will be getting relaxed. Okay, and the ventricle diastole, same thing. Ventricle is getting relaxed. So for each phases, we have certain times. For atrium has to be contracted, it takes about 0.1 seconds, right? And if the atrium has to be relaxed, it takes about 0.7 seconds. And see about the ventricular systole and ventricular diastole. For ventricle has to contract, it takes up to 0.3 seconds. And for diastole, ventricular diastole, it takes up to 0.5 seconds. Now, what I have mentioned here, the duration of each cycle will be 0.8 seconds. See, atrial systole and atrial diastole. Okay, 0.1 plus 0.7 will be 0.8. Right, and ventricular diastole will be 0.3 and ventricular systole will be 0.3 and diastole will be 0.5. So totally 0.8. So the contraction and relaxation of atrium will be 0.8 and the contraction and relaxation of ventricles will be 0.8. That will be occurring simultaneously. So that is why we are saying the duration of each cardiac cycle will be 0.8 seconds. So have a look at it and take a note of it. Okay. So, in which phase of the cardiac cycle involves the contraction of atrium? See, here will be the contraction, definitely that will be the systole, and the atrium, definitely that will be the atrial systole. Okay, and in atrial systole, the blood has to be moved from atrium to the ventricles, right? During which phase are all the heart valves are closed and the ventricles are starting to contract without changing the volume. Here, all the heart valves are getting closed and the ventricle starts to contract without changing the volume. That will be obviously the isovolumetric contraction. Here, all the walls are closed and the volume of blood in the ventricles remains the same even after the contraction, right? That is why we are saying that isovolumetric. Iso means what? Same volume even after the contraction, right? What happens to the semilunar walls during the ventricular ejection? What happens to the semilunar walls? It prevents the black flow of blood. Okay, the function of walls is to check to prevent the backflow of blood. Whether it will be closed or open, obviously that will open. Okay, am I? Wait. Here the during which in ventricular ejection that will be open. Right. Okay. Just I have a second thought of this question. Okay. Just hold this question. Okay. Which phase of the cardiac cycle is characterized by the passive filling of ventricles with the blood from the atrium? See, for this question, it will be open. Okay. During the ventricular ejection, the pressure in the ventricle will be high. Okay. In the articles, this causes the semilunar walls to open. Okay. It has to be opened. Now, this question, just answer for this question. Which phase of the cardiac cycle is characterized by passive filling of ventricles with blood from the atrium? That will be a ventricular filling. Okay. And during this time, what is the function of the walls? Kindly make a note of that. Okay. Make the changes. And during which phase does the ventricular pressure fall and all the heart valves are closed? During which phase does the ventricular pressure is getting reduced and all the valves are also getting closed? That will be obviously isovolumetric relaxation. In which phase of the cardiac cycle are the atrioventricular walls open and the semilunar walls closed? Just think and answer for this question. That will be an atrial systole. Okay. It is not ventricular filling, and the table also, just make a correction in the table also. Okay. What events marks the beginning of isovolumetric contraction phase? That will be a closure of AV walls. See, at the beginning of isovolumetric contraction is marked by the closure of AV walls, which prevents the backflow of blood into the atrium. Okay, and also it makes the pressure to build up in the ventricles. Now that's all about the phases in the cardiac cycle. Now we are going to study about the heart. Okay, fine. We'll finish up. We'll take another 10 minutes. What is the anatomy of the heart? It is located in the thoracic cavity. Okay, heart is located in the thoracic cavity between the lungs and slightly left. Okay, we can say like that. It is not entirely in the middle. It is slightly shift to the left side. And what will be the size? We can say that if it will be the size of the clenched fist. If we close our hand, that will be called the clenched fist, and the heart will be the size of that fist. And how many chambers? 4 chambers, 2 atrium and 2 ventricles will be there, and 4 different walls are present in case of heart, in particularly mammals. And tricuspid, mitral wall, pulmonary wall, and aortic wall. Okay, in tricuspid wall, that will be a right AV wall, a mitral wall. We can call this mitral wall as a bicuspid wall also, and that will be considered as a left AV wall. And pulmonary wall will be the semilunar walls, and aortic wall will also call as the semilunar wall. Okay, so all 4 main walls are present in case of heart. And how many layers present in the heart? That will be endocardium. The inner layer will be called as the endocardium, and the middle layer is called as the myocardium, which is entirely muscular, particularly the cardiac muscle. And the outer layer will be called as the epicardium. We can also say that the pericardium. Okay, and what will be the pathways of the heart? That will be a pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation means the blood has to reach the lungs. Okay, from the right ventricle to the lungs. From the right ventricles to the lungs. See, for example, this will be the right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, and left ventricle. Okay, this is what a structure of heart. Okay, see, the blood has to flow from the right atrium to the right ventricle, and after that there will be the wall present here, that will be called as the pulmonary artery. From the right ventricle, the blood will not go to the left atrium. Instead of that, it will reach the lungs. Okay, and that will be the blood which is carrying the artery which is carrying the blood, that is deoxygenated blood to the lungs, will be the pulmonary artery. Okay, that is what a pulmonary circulation. And after that, it has to be sent back to the left atrium by the pulmonary vein. And what is about systemic circulation? Here, from the left ventricle to the body tissues and back to the right atrium. This is what a systemic circulation. Okay, now how the blood is getting supplied? And that will be coronary artery and cardiac vein. See, coronary artery, that will be right and left coronary artery supply blood to the heart muscle. Cardiac veins will be the great, middle, and small cardiac veins collect the deoxygenated blood from the heart muscle. Okay, now what will be the important node present in the heart? SA node. We know that this will be acting as a natural pacemaker. This is the one initiate the impulse, and this is the location of this particular SA node will be in the right atrium. And atrioventricular node. This will be located between the atrium and ventricles. Okay, between the atrium and ventricles, this AV node is present, and from the SA node, it has to reach the AV node. And after that, a bundle of His. And this is the one conducts the electrical impulse from the AV node to the ventricles, and that will be done by the bundle of His and Purkinje fibers. And this is the fiber will distribute this electrical impulse throughout the ventricles and causing them to contract. So these are all the system involved in carrying the electrical impulse. Now, what is the function of the heart? Cardiac cycle, we know that contraction and relaxation phase will be there. Technically, we can call them as a systole and diastole. And heart rate, the number of heartbeats per minute, normal heart rise is 60 to 100 BPM. And cardiac output, how can we calculate the volume of blood? It will be a stroke volume into the heart rate. Okay, now how it will be getting regulated? Autonomous nervous system and hormonal control. See, hormones plays an important role in regulating the beat of heart. See, in case of autonomous nervous system, the sympathetic stimulation will increases the heartbeat. This can be asked in your question. In case of a sympathetic nervous system, it will increases the heartbeat and it forces to contract the muscle. And in case of parasympathetic nerve, it will decrease the heart rate. Okay, and which hormone plays a crucial role in regulating the heart rate means particularly the adrenaline. That will be an emergency hormone, and that is epinephrine. This will increases the heart rate. If we suddenly scared of something or afraid of something, we suddenly feel that our heartbeat will tend to rise. Okay, so adrenaline plays an important role in regulating the heartbeats. Now, what are all the disorders regarding the heart related to heart means coronary heart disease? If the coronary artery getting blocked using if a lot of cholesterol will accumulate in this coronary artery means it results in the atherosclerosis and heart failure, arrhythmias. These are all the heart disorders, valve disorders. There in any block in any of these valves, it results in the valve disorders. And how can we diagnose the heart related issues? We can use ECG. And see, what is the difference between ECG and EEG? EEG, encephalogram, that will be completely related to the brain. Okay, and ECG will be related to the electrical activity of the heart. Okay, and echocardiogram, it will use to hear the ultrasound of the heart to visualize the heart structures and function. And we can also say the stress test. Okay, and cardiac catheterization. Okay. So these are all the diagnostic methods we can use. So answer for this question, which chamber of the heart receives oxygenated blood from the lungs? Oxygenated blood from the lungs. Which chamber? You can easily answer this question. Yeah, that will be a left atrium. Which wall prevents the backflow of blood from the right ventricle into the right atrium? We have a right atrium and right ventricle, left atrium and left ventricle. And here, what they are asking is backflow of blood from the right ventricle to the right atrium. So what is the wall present here? That will be the, very good, that will be the tricuspid valve. And here, bicuspid valve will be present here. So which structure in the heart act as a natural pacemaker? We know that will be an essay. No, don't waste time in answering this question. And what is the function of the coronary artery? What is the primary function of the coronary artery? Yeah, that will be supply the blood to the heart muscle. Okay, don't get confused with this question. And during which phase of the cardiac cycle are the ventricles contracting and pumping blood out of the heart? That will be related to atrial systole, isovolumetric contraction, ventricular ejection, isovolumetric relaxation. That will be obviously the ventricular ejection. Which hormone increases the heart rate and force of contraction during the fight or flight response? No doubt in this, adrenaline, the epinephrine. Okay, which diagnostic test uses ultrasound to visualize the structure and functions of the heart? Why, Lalita and Anjaneyulu? Just recheck your answer. See, electrocardiogram is related to, they are used to diagnose the electrical impulse of the heart. Okay, and echocardiogram is the one used to test the ultrasound. Okay, to visualize the structure and functions of the heart. Okay, what condition is characterized by narrowing or blockage of coronary artery due to plaque buildup? Option 1, heart failure, arrhythmia, coronary artery disease, and valve disorder. Quick, answer quick. Yeah. And here, what will be the name of the blockage? That will be coronary artery disease. Okay, this is caused by the buildup of plaque in the coronary artery. Okay. Now, what is the normal range of the range for a resting heart rate in adults? Normal range. How many beats per minute? That will be 60 to 100 beats per minute. And which type of heart valve disorder involves the valve not closing properly, causing the blood to flow backward? See, the name of this particular valve disorder will be regurgitation. Okay. See, this is the condition. It will occur when a heart valve does not close properly. Okay. And if it is not closed properly, what is the function of this particular valve present in the heart means to prevent the backflow of blood. Okay. If it is not closed properly, how it will check the backflow of blood? Okay. So that's all about the cardiovascular system. Just read these two things. Okay. The question will not be predominant regarding the neural regulation, but anyhow, you have to just have a look at it. Okay. Any doubts? If you have any doubts, you can ask me now. See, for tomorrow, you have to read and come the respiratory system. Okay. Respiratory system is your tomorrow's test. Any doubts? Shall we wind up the class? Everybody clear, right? Okay, if you have any doubts, you can stay or else just leave the class. Okay, just revise. And for tomorrow, you have to read and come the respiratory system.